So when it comes to this representation, the whole idea and the mandate of parliamentarians is to amplify the voices of their constituencies and to ensure that their interest in terms of human security, human rights are protected. Then we also have another key role of the parliament, that is the lawmaking process, and this is the primary role of the parliament. When it comes to the laws in this country, the parliament makes the laws, the judiciary interprets, and the executive implements. And the role of lawmaking is also attached to that of the watchdog, the oversight role, whereby the parliament is there to ensure that the executive is properly implementing the laws, and these laws are defending the rights. They are also defending the interest of the masses.
Oh, great discussion that we have here. I liked the fact that you spoke about amplifying voices from constituencies. You know, in Zimbabwe, we are running with the mantra, leaving no one and no place behind. That's a great thing. I think viewers at home are actually also benefiting from the discussion that we have here, and so much to take away from the roles of the parliament that you mentioned. Thank you so much for that verification and clarification. All right, now moving on. Last year, on the last sitting of the parliament, what were some of the key issues that were dealt with the parliament?
Okay, so let's take these issues from the legislative agenda that was pronounced by His Excellency, the President of this country, Comrade Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. When he delivered his State of the Nation address, I think in October, he said the country is endowed with natural resources, and these resources should benefit the citizens of this country. It should uplift people from abject poverty. And on top of that, he mentioned that there are so many bills that should be completed in the parliament, and among these bills are the issues of mines and mineral bill. And this bill is key, especially when it comes to three things that are in line with the government's mantra, that are also in line with the objectives of the SADC regional bloc. Number one, the issues to do with industrialization. Number two, issues to do with the value addition, as well as mineral beneficiation. All
right, we shall continue with that conversation. We will continue with that conversation with our expert in studio. We are joined by Lazarus. But in the meantime, we shall get to hear the views and opinions of the general populace of Zimbabwe in terms of what they expect to be discussed with the parliament. We'll be back after this.
I'm a MP too. Ukuthi singabavotela bayahamba, abaphenduki asibaboni, abakhulumi lathi akula ngisho lo feedback. So expect ukuthi they will come back to us and represent our issues edu, emvura, markets, never challenges, maswage, never challenges. So we need them to be visible all the time, and we need them to be talking in parliament, not to just go and sit the whole time when they never talk about anything. My laws, they do, and if I cheat, they must come back to us. My bills are at least they come back to us and tell us my bill is good for us in this way, that way, or is bad for us this way, so that we get informed. Because most of the laws, we don't know them. Sometimes you get affected, but you don't know. We expect them to be the people who give us that kind of information.
Pane program yakaitwa nemtungamiriri wenyika yema roads tikatasa mkwadzana munomu aina kuitwa yatinoti muna first road yoyo naizvo zvine mapoto zvekuti kana dziri mota dzanzwa nekufa. Totarisira futi kuti tine challenge yemvura mukati medunhu rinokuwadzana. Tinoziva kuti mvura inoenda iri Friday ichidzoka on Monday, but tikatarisa kuti tine machallenges ezvinhu zvakaita semapaipi edu mamwe acho agarisa adati amiriro sezvimwe zvezvimwe zvatinoti muparliament zvinge zvichipindawo kuti vaitewo maresolutions akadaro kuti tipange pachitengwa zvinhu zvitsva zvinge zviripo vagari vasatambudzike panyaya yemvura yekumwa, nekuti tikatasa pamberi apo zvinotipa korera utachiwana mukati menzvimbo ino zvinozova zvinhu zvinozonetsa mukati menyika yese.
There you heard it, the Zimbabwean people talking about what they expect to be discussed with the parliament. They spoke about potholes, they spoke about inclusion itself, how they want to be included in bills when they are formulated. So, Mr. Lazarus, could you please comment on what the general populace of Zimbabwe were talking about in regards to the parliament sittings?
Okay, so they highlighted the issue of public debates whereby the general citizenry are also engaging in police issues. They are also engaging in human security provisions that affect their daily lives. As they mentioned, issues to do with the health security, issues to do with the community security, issues to do with food security and infrastructural development are the tonic to development in this country. And these citizens are saying, as parliamentarians, they should prioritize such issues and stimulate sustainable development in this country.
All right. Thank you so much for that sustainability and prioritizing what the members of Zimbabwe really want. Thank you so much for joining us. But in the meantime, we are going to cross over to the new Parliament building in Mount Hampden, where we have Ian Vambe on standby to give us an update of what will be taking place and what's currently taking place at the answer and question segment of the National Assembly. We'll be back with more discussions with our guest. Stay tuned.
Welcome to this live broadcast of the National Assembly, the first of the calendar year 2025, and of course where we get to have so many issues being deliberated in the National Assembly, where ministers will come for question and answer, question without notice, of course policy discussions, development work. And of course today, before we get to follow proceedings, we do have to find out more on in terms of what is being discussed. And you remember the month of February, we do have a National Youth Day that will be celebrated on the 21st of February. And of course, when it comes to young people, we really want to understand how effective are they in as far as national development is concerned. What are the government plans to ensure that young people are actively involved around economic development? Policies that have been designed to ensure that there is economic growth centered on the youth is also important, and we get to understand all this from the young people. Remember, this parliament is quite special, 10 seats reserved for young people, and we get to understand from them, speaking for themselves, representing at the highest level. We're now joined by Honorable Mutsawashe Ziyambi, who is also the chairperson of the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on the youth issues. Now, Honorable, good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon, thank you very much.
Let's quickly get to understand the month of February before we get to what you're going to be talking about today. It's a month where we get to look at young people. How do you assess the role they play in as far as national development is concerned in Zimbabwe?
Okay, thank you very much. The month of February is a very important month for us as the youthful people in Zimbabwe. Mind you, the youthful people, the youth in Zimbabwe, we constitute about 62% of the population. That simply means that for the economy one of the key drivers of the economy in terms of us as a population is youthful people. So this month is actually very important for us because it actually proves the recognition that our president, Comrade Mnangagwa, recognizes that we are so important, such that we can have a day which is selected to be actually a day for the youthful people, which we can ponder on issues that actually matter to the youthful people of Zimbabwe. So I think it's a very important day for us to reflect and also to attack on issues that are current, which are affecting youthful people. But there are certain issues which are quite a number, which affects the economic drive that's supposed to happen through the youthful people of Zimbabwe.
But looking at what His Excellency, like rightfully said, has been saying previously, the issue was on drug and substance abuse, to ensure that the young people who are, of course, the victims who are vulnerable to the abuse of drug and substances are well catered for. Going forward, this year, what could be the mantra? Yes, of course, drug and substance abuse remains a constant conversation, but do you have something separate, maybe themes, maybe focus? What is really special about this year?
Okay, this year, the issue with drug and substance abuse, it can be penetrated from a lot of angles. For example, we can talk of the ministry itself. there's the issue of vocational training, and also there's the issue of the youth service in Zimbabwe, which also is going to be celebrated on the 21st of February, because it was actually launched last year. And the response in youthful people wanting to actually attend this service has been quite a lot. For example, in Marsh West, there are about 300 people who are actually going to be applying, who are eligible to apply, but actually the number of people who want to go are more than 300. So if talking of the mantra in terms of drug and substance abuse, these are the angles that which are going to be moved way further forward this year in order to attack the issue of drug and substance abuse. So we have the issue of youth service in Zimbabwe. We also have the mantra of certain activist groups which we have discussed as the youth caucus in Parliament and as the committee, because a lot of people which are in marginalized areas don't really have the knowledge on what's going on, or rather what is drug and substance abuse, because we have a lot of marginalized areas in Zimbabwe. So we also have an issue or mantra which are going to have activist groups which are going to be going all across Zimbabwe, all the way to Binga, where people actually are taking drugs but they have no idea what will affect, how they affect them in terms of their personal lives, and also in terms of contributing to the economy of Zimbabwe.
Honorable, let's look at the representation at this level, National Assembly. This particular session we're looking at, there are 10 seats reserved for young people, and one of them, especially looking at the youthfulness, the vibe, and like you said, you represent that huge population. What are the key issues that you feel the Parliament should address, and as far as ensuring that young people are put in places where they can actually be more active in economic development, they can be emancipated? What are the key issues that should be addressed at National Assembly level?
Okay, I'm very glad of the question that you've just asked me, because it's actually very, very recent. And when I'm talking about recent, I'm talking about yesterday, which was or Tuesday. Yesterday, National Assembly, there was a motion which was moved by the youthful representatives in Parliament, which addresses the issue of youthful people having a 30% quota in terms of opportunities, economic opportunities from government. That also includes tenders. Mm-hmm. So the issue is youthful people are not they lack competitiveness in the market as we speak. That's why the Ministry of Youth Empowerment, Development and Vocational Training is stages whereby those people who are not in higher tertiary, they can go to vocational training schools and they can actually learn certain skills. Then after they go, the ministry also realizes the issue that those people also need empowerment. That's where the issues of empowering comes in, and also other the fund which is at the Ministry of Finance comes in, so that those youthful people who have trained can actually attain the financial resources, so that they can actually compete in the competitiveness economic market. So yesterday we raised that motion, which we are going to be debating for the foreseeable future, such that the youthful people can be recognized in terms of acquiring the government opportunities, which include tenders which are produced by gazetted by the government, so that they can actually have a quota whereby they can compete with themselves and actually be able to get the opportunity. No one ever forgets the first contract that they ever have, and that's the stepping stone for us empowering youthful people. And that's what that's why I was glad for the question that you just asked, because that's what we're actually emphasizing, that youthful people can get an opportunity to also be a key player in the economic zone of Zimbabwe.
Interesting that we get to hear you explaining these issues. I know I have to let you go and join others, but thank you so much for coming through right here on ZBC TV.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
That was Honorable Mutsawashi Ziyambi explaining to us exactly what is going to be happening in as far as economic development centered around young people is concerned. And of course, we've had issues that the youth can look forward to in as far as the discussions at national level, at National Assembly level are concerned. We'll be, of course, following the proceedings shortly as they happen in the National Assembly. But for now, we take you back to our Pocket studios. Rumbi, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Ian Vambe, who is on standby at the new Parliament building in Mount Habden. We shall give you more views and opinions of the general populace of Zimbabwe on what they expect to be discussed in today's question and answer segment of the Parliament before we get to cross over to the House to get to see the proceedings. Stay tuned.
Esikwanisa kunge ichivhurwa mazuva ese kazhinji. Saka tikacherechedza nguva zhinji vanhu vanenge vachienda mumasango zvakukonzeresa futi korera, zvakukonzeresa zvirwere zvakasiyana siyana. Saka chinhu chekutanga tachikumbira kuti toilet yedu inge ichimanejwa zvokusvika Monday to Sunday ichishanda. izvozvo zvaifanira kunge zvichitariswa futi kuti environment yakachena sei, toilet iri kushanda here, kuitira kuti pasazove nemessing nechitika muchii. Nokuti mukanotarisa mumakapaki mune manesi anenge arimo according netoilet isiri kushanda. Saka tichikumbirawo kuti kana vari vanhu vai vanenge vavhotirwa vevai vakauyawo vachinochekawo kuti vanhu vedu vari kugara sei, zviri kufamba sei, at least vakange vachiuya kuvanhu ende vauya kuvanhu pane pamwe pekuti vanogona kuuya kuvanhu vonzwa zvichemo zvevanhu vanogona kunozvisa but havazoi nefeedback yekuziva kuti pavambouya vazodzoka here vachitiudza kuti zvamakataura zviya zvazosvika pakati. Vanogona kuuya zveshuwa votarisa vaona dambudziko, but dambudziko ratariswa richazoone kuti pavakauya vachitarisa dambudziko pane here change yaitika. Saka ngavauye votarisa dambudziko, vodzoka bheki toona kuti aiwa dambudziko ravakauya vaitaura nezvaro raakufamba rakadai.
MP wedu wenzvimbo inoi tinenge tichitarisirawo kuti kana akanga auyawo kufeedback vanowanzoitawo mafeedback futi. Takavatuma last time pavakaita last feedback takati endai munotitaurirawo kuParliament kuti at least road yedu inonzi First Street igadzirwe kunosvika kuna Blair Road uko. Zvinhu zvateichitarisirawo sevagari kuti kana zvinhu izvozvo zvakaitikawo tinonzwawo kufara nemadeployees atei takasarudza kuti vatimiririrewo vachitiendeserawo mavoice kumusoro kwatisingakwanise kusvika isusu. Since variwo vanokwanisa kusvika tinechitarisirawo kuti imwe mitemo igadzirwewo kuti irerukirewo maresidents.
The issue of sanitation being raised there, will it be discussed in today's question and answer session at the National Assembly? Let's get to find out as we get to cross over to the new Parliament building in Mount Hampton, where the proceedings are underway.
Right. Thank you very much. Can we move on to Honorable Ungwe, T. Ungwe?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. My question is directed to the Minister of Agriculture. We are happy for the rains we are receiving. I want to ask, what is the government policy which is in place to make sure that the inputs, especially fertilizer, reach to the intended beneficiaries in time?
Order. Can you respect the questioner? And there's no need for any comments when an honorable member is asked a question, and if you have got an issue, you can ask a supplementary question. The Honorable Minister of Lands, who is the acting leader? Honorable Mona.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir. Ndoda kutenda mbunzo wasumudzwa.
I want to thank Honorable Ngwe for asking a pertinent question. It is true, we thank the Almighty God for the good rains which we are receiving as a country, and we are expecting bumper harvest this year. I also want to thank that at the opening of the cabinet is the issue of distribution of fertilizers is one of the things which was discussed. We had faced some delays in securing AN fertilizer. I also want to take this opportunity to notify the whole country that we had lack of AN, but right now we have the AN in our stock, and we expect the distribution of the fertilizer to go on, and it will help in alleviate the lack of nutrients in our plants. The Minister of Lands and Agriculture notified the country that we have got enough fertilizer for all farmers. Thank you.
Thank you. I do not see any request for a supplementary question. I move on to Honorable Vimoyo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir.
My question goes to the Ministry of Health and Child Welfare. What policy plans has government put in place to alleviate the impact that has been created by the sudden withdrawal of US funding on our health service delivery system, especially in the fight against HIV/AIDS? Thank you.
Your mic is on. What was the point of order?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. May the Honorable clarify, is it the Ministry of Child Care or Child Welfare? He said Child Welfare.
Thank you, Honorable Joe. I think the Honorable Member has taken note. Can you proceed with your question, please?
I had finished, Mr. Speaker.
Order. You are not on the chair. My attention was distracted by a point of order, so I need to follow the question properly. And don't tell me kutapeza. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, what policy plans has government put in place to alleviate the impact that has been created by the sudden withdrawal of US funding in our health service delivery system, especially in the fight against the HIV pandemic?
Thank you. Ministry of Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank you also, the honourable member, for the question he has raised. Yes, it's very true that the of the USAID from who, but what I want maybe the honourable member to be aware of with the policies that when the policy is formulated, it's not wholly depending on the other stakeholders which we maybe collaborate with on actually on how to make up the living of our people. But nevertheless, the issue is now as the ministry and the government at large, because we had an agreement and the collaborations with these other stakeholders who have withdrawn the support they were giving us. So now it's now the mandate of the ministry and government to make sure that these funds or these programs which were withdrawn from the ministry now is now all owned by the ministry, such that we can cover the gap which has been left behind by the people who were funding. So in terms of issues of HIV and AIDS, malaria and TB, these were wholly government programs, but then we had stakeholders who came in to fund those programs. So as we speak right now, our technocrats are making sure to see how best can we cover the gap which has been left out by these programs implementers as such, because these came in to feed into our policies as a nation, but not as the policymakers. So as we speak right now, as I said earlier on, that the ministry technocrats are in the process of to find out how best can we come up with possible solutions, especially in budgeting and also human capital, which was affected by these funds which has been withdrawn. So basically on the policy is already there and was existing, but what has been withdrawn is the support which we're given or which we're receiving from these funders. I thank you.
Supplementary.
Supplementary.
Supplementary, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
My supplementary to the minister is that we want to know when nurses are coming, when the condoms and ARVs are going to be distributed, because we have mocked in the constituencies, especially from my constituents,
there are so many queues there because the US aid is removed their nurses. So before the condoms and ARVs stop, we want to know when those drugs are going to be distributed.
Order. Order. The Honorable Minister's response was quite explicit. To the extent that it's work in progress to close the gap resulting from the withdrawal of the funding. And that will include those devices or medical devices that the people so affected require will be addressed through that task force that has been formed by the minister. Thank you.
Supplementary.
Supplementary.
Ndinokutenda imbathu wechigaba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Sorry, I didn't recognize you so far away.
Okay.
Honorable
Matambo.
Matambo.
Sure. Ndinokutenda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I also want to thank the Minister for the response that we have been receiving assistance from other countries. I also want to take this opportunity to thank those who were giving us the aid when Zimbabwe was in the midst of sanctions. I really think that we were receiving aid from America despite we were under sanctions. Thank you.
Order. 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 I respect the honorable members. A statement is not a supplementary question. Please follow your standing orders accordingly. Honorable Maburuse.
Mazita Mbato Shigara.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. My question is directed to the Minister of Transport and Infrastructure Development. We really thank you for the refurbishment of the Harare-Bedbridge Highway, but we are facing a challenge. The Minister of Transport, I don't know what is the government policy which we have concerning the spaces which were not refurbished between Mashingo and Rutenga. That part of the road is deteriorated. It's difficult to move. We hear that the ministry has passed the Harare and it's now focusing on Chirundo. What about the patches and places which have not been refurbished, Minister? Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Ndinotambura. Today we ask for policy questions. That is, Honorable Maburuse, a specific issue. Unless if your question had been, what's government policy in terms of incomplete roadworks, something like that. But when I don't need your assistance. But because you expect very particular about, the specific areas, this question can be asked by way of a written question. And then the Honorable Minister will be able to answer accordingly.
Ndinotenda mubato wechigaro.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I was giving as an example, but my question is, it's like what you had said, Mr. Speaker said. That's what I really wanted to say.
Order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Can you ask a written question for next week, please? All right?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Chinoda Kufa. Honorable Chinoda Kufa.
Mazita mubato wechigaro.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. My question is directed to the Minister of War, Veterans Affairs. What is the government policy on trying to uplift or to make the lives of those who fight during the labor struggle, their lives be comfortable? Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I also want to thank Honorable Chinoda Kufa for asking a pertinent question. I also want to start my response from the Constitution, which clearly says that government must come up with ways or crafting laws which makes sure that the lives of war veterans have been uplifted. I think from that we had managed to come up with an act, the War Veterans Liberation Struggle Act, which was put to make sure that the work of uplifting the lives of war veterans is put in motion. Right now, the war veterans are being helped in terms of health, or their children, school fees for their children, and those who have lost their lives have been buried properly and also benefit economically. Hence, there was a fund which was created, the War Veterans Fund, through that act. We also have projects which were started by the government to the Veterans Investment Corporation to make sure that the corporation come up with projects and the money benefits the world of veterans. Hence, I agree that the government is trying by all means to make sure that the lives of all veterans benefit and live properly in their respective areas.
Supplementary. Tatenda. Supplementary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, my supplementary questions is
Honorable member in front here. Honorable
Gumbo.
Mpoko?
Gumbo.
Gumbo. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. As the minister has rightfully stated, Section 84 of the Constitution of this land stipulates that war veterans or veterans of the liberation struggle must be given due recognition. That means that even the issues that they utter in the public domain must be given due recognition in terms of the Constitution of this country. Recently, we have had unsettling sentiments which have been passed by liberation war veterans. Regarding the state of affairs in this country, the state of citizens' livelihoods in this country.
Order.
And they've made a call.
Order. Can you ask your question, please?
What therefore is government's policy?
Can you ask your question as a supplementary question?
This is supplementary.
Please proceed.
Following the sentiments passed by the war veterans in the public domain, what is the ministry doing to ensure that these war veterans are given ear, they are listened to, and they are recognized and their issues are addressed accordingly, particularly where they are calling for resignation of certain senior officers of the government?
Order. Order. Calling for some resignation of certain members has nothing to do with welfare of the war veterans.
Supplementary.
Supplementary. Another supplementary, yes, honorable member. Sorry, honorable member.
Supplementary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is it working? Thank you. That is why I ruled the honorable member out of order. Honorable member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for according me this opportunity. My supplementary is directed to the Minister of War Veterans. Yes, there are challenges in trying to uplift the lives of those who fought the war and their children. In this house, there was a point of coming up with a database, because you find that people like me who were born 1979, they are saying they are all vets. So we want the minister to come back with a database, because we find that as grandchildren of war veterans, we are also benefiting, saying that we are war veterans. So we want documentation, so that when they are being helped, it will be known that these are all collaborators and these are all vets. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Your comment on the database, please.
Mashita. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank Honorable Matsunga for such a pertinent issue concerning the database. What I can say is that's what we have in plans when we are starting with vetting, when the actual
nokuti vanenge vatovhetwa vaongororwa kuonekwa kuti izvo ava vari verusununguko zvedu, asi tichinda pachikwata chakabva kunyoresa muna October chiri kumirira kugazetwa. Reason yegazeting ndeyekuti kana vazoona paine vaduku vakaita saizvozvo kana kuti vanga vasingakodzeri kupinda pama-war collaborators, vanenge vakwanisa kutaura kuti uyo haasi. Asi zvatakawana patsvagurudzo yevaivheta vanotaura kuti vamwe vakanga varichori vaduku panguva yehondo iyoyo ndova vakanga vakukwanisa kutuma kunosora nekuda kwekuti vanga vasingafungirwi zvakanyanya nevarungu. Saka naizvozvo ndinobvumirana nazvo kuti database kana tapedza tinounza. Ndatenda.
Supplementary. Supplementary.
Honorable Mapiki.
Maila basambato wechigaro ndoda kutenda minister nokutsetsenura zvakanaka pa mubvunzo wabvunzwa. Wangu mubvunzo ndokuti iwo pane urongwa here hwokuti iwo wakavhetwa vana Mujibhana naChimbwidu wanga vachionawo chouiri kana nyaya yacho yapera.
I'm sorry, Honorable Minister, Honorable Member, andina kunzwisisa mubvunzo wenyu.
maita basa bato wechigaro. Mbunzo wangu wokutsitsira mbunzo mumwe yataurwa ndokuti wataura minista panyaya naMujibha naChimbwido kuti zvinhu zvake zvapera. Ndachiti polisi yehurumende kana kuti urongwa hurumende hunochokuita here kuti iwavo vazopuwawo mabenefits kana kuti chouwiri.
Tatenda, Honorable Minister.
Mazvitamba twechigaro tichishanda neconstitution yedu tichizoenda kuact yedu yema-war veterans. Muconstitution makaburiswa macategories mana anobvira ma-veterans, ma-ex-detainees, ma-war collaborators nema-non-combatant cadres. Ndo paya pandambopindura pamubvunzo wekutanga kuti izvo muconstitution munonzi kuwerengedzwi kuonekwa kuti izvo vanhu ivava pagadzirwa mitemo nezvingaita kuti zvivabatsire pararamo yavo. Saka ikategori inofanirwa kuonekwa raramo yayo kuti zvichazova raramo yakadii ndo zvinozotera pa. Tatenda.
Supplementary. Yes, last supplementary at the back, Honorable Member.
Ngiyabonga Mr Speaker sir. Umbuzo supplementary yami ilandela laphana uMinister lapha thekhona khona kulama projects ayenziwa ngama war veterans. Besicela ukuthi nxa kuvuma uMinister azise iAugust House lay ukuthi yiwapi ama projects akhona ayenziwayo ngama war veterans. Ngiyabonga.
That's now a specific question. If you could put your question in writing, then the Honorable Minister will be able to give us the list accordingly. So if you can put down your question in writing for next week, and I'm sure there will be ample time for the Honorable Minister to come up with the data so required. Honorable Maricano.
On a point of privilege, Honorable Speaker, sir. On a point of privilege, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Don't come through the back door and ask a supplementary question. No, I can't allow that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Maricano.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. My question is directed to the Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to seek clarification on the disbursement of the CDF for the year 2024. I thank you.
Minister of Finance. The Deputy is not here as well. Can you proceed, Acting Leader of Government Business?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir. And let me also thank Honorable Madam Maricano for that very important question, which is very emotional, especially to this August House. And with your indulgence, Honorable Speaker, sir, working closely with Parliament, if you may kindly allow me to also follow through after this session so that we hear when precisely the fund is going to be dispersed to this August House. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Acting Leader of Government Business. Please proceed with your suggestion, and next week, if we can have a response accordingly. Thank you. Honorable Nyagwezwa.
Maita basa mbato wechigaro. Mwaka uno takawana mvura yakawanda yakakudza zvirimwa zvedu nerimwe divi ikaparadza mugwagwa yakawanda kumaruwa. Saka mubvunzo wangu uri kuenda kuna Minister of Transport kuti urongwa hupi huri kuitwa nehurumende maringe nekugadzirwa kwemigwagwa yakaparadzwa nemvura. Tinotenda.
The Honorable Minister of Transport.
Ndinotenda vanoremekedzwa mutungamiri wedare rino reParliament. ndotenda zvakare vanoremekedzwa honorable Nyakuyedzwa. Ichokwadi vaiteerera hurukuro kunyange pakavhurwa dare recabinet nemutungamiri wenyika baba Mnangagwa vakamisikidza kuti tinotenda kuvepo hwemvura, asi kuuyawo kwemvura kune zvinozoparadzwawo mashure mekunge tawana mvura yakati wandei. Ichokwadi migwagwa nezvivakwa zvizhinji zvakawanikwa zvichiparara, asi ndoda kutenda kuti pose paneitika njodzi pane bandiko rinoona nezvenjodzi, zvichireva izvo kuti kutaura kwatiri kuita tine inonzi pachirungu Emergency Road Rehabilitation Program 2 iyo yakatanga mugore ra2021 mwedzi waKukadzi zvichienda mberi, asi tichitenda kuti kutanga kwawakaita wakawedzerwa mwaka iwowo kuti tione kuparadzwa kunenge kwaita mugwagwa. Saka mwaka iwowo uchaenda kusvika gore rinotevera 2026, zvichireva izvo kuti taakuenda kuhomwe yenyika kunokumbira kuti tivandudze migwagwa yedu tichibatsirwa nedare rino pamunei muchimisikidza bhajeti kuti tinge tiine mari yekuvandudza migwagwa yedu. Saka ndinotenda kuti hatisi kungomirira ipapo sebandiko reMinistry of Transport, tiri kutsvagawo hama neshamwari zvakare dzekushanda nadzo pachirungu inonzi PPP kuti tinge tichivandudza migwagwa yedu, ingave migwagwa mikuru ingave migwagwa yekumaruzevha. Asi tinoziva kuti migwagwa mizhinji yekumaruwa inoshanda iri pasi pebandiko yainzi DDF, ndo yakunzi RIDA, kana kuti makanzuro yedu ekumaruwa. Hatisi kungomira seministry, tiri kuuya zvakare tichishanda nawo pamwe chete, tichishanda zvakare nebandiko relocal government vanova ndo vanoona nezvenjodzi dzinenge dzawira nyika. Asi ndinotenda kuti homwe iyoyo senyika tinoziva tine homwe imwe chete yatinoti tikawirwa nenzara ndo yatinoenda zvakare. Saka dzimwe dzenguva muchawanikwa nekushushikana kuti matarisiro amunoita kuti tinenge tichifamba nekukasika, dzimwe dzenguva tinotora nguva, asi tinovimbisa mhuri yeZimbabwe kuti tiri kuziva mainjiniya edu ose anomirira mativi ose ari 10 aripo kuti vatsvakurudze migwagwa yakafa kudaro. Ndinotenda.
Supplementary, Honorable Joe.
Mazvita Mr. Speaker say tinotenda zvikuru nemhinduro yapiwa naHonorable Minister wedu weTransport. Honorable Speaker say tine zvivakwa zvakaparadzwa zvane 8 years zvakaparadzwa nemvura. Urongwa hupi hwanahwo kuti vange vachigadzirisa? Tine mabridge akaparadziwa like constituencies edu akapararira zvakaparadzwa kudhara zvane 8 years zvisati zvagadziriswa. Urongwa hwahwo hwakamira sei kuti vagadzirise zvakaita semabridge iyayo? Mazvita yenyu.
Honorable Minister.
Vanoremekedzwa mutungamiri wedare rino reParliament, ndotenda zvakare vanoremekedzwa Honorable Joe. Ichokwadi tine dutu mupengo yakati wandei yakatevera mumashure tisingangotarisira nyaya yecyclone Idai. Tinoziva taive na cyclone Eileen vakauya vachiparadza zvivakwa zvedu. Ichokwadi tine zvimwe zvivakwa zvakadaro zvisati zvamisikidzwa. Ndinotenda kuti kunobva Honorable Joe nofunga vazongozeza havo kutaura nemazita, asi vane bridge ravo ravanoshushikana navo rinonzi Jeka. Ndinovavimbisa kuti tinaro zvakare rakatorwa makore mamwe chete avataura iwayo. Ndo mamwe atinawo kubandiko redu reMinistry of Transport kuti tiri kuuya tichiona muprovince yoga yoga mabridge akatorwa iwayo kwenguva yakareba kuti tishande pamwe chete neRIDA, toshanda pamwe chete nemarural district councils kuti tinge tichivandudza zvivakwa izvozvo. Ndokumbirawo zvakare kudare rino vanoremekedzwa mutungamiri weParliament kuti dzimwe dzenguva kana tine zvivakwa zvatinoziva patinoita kutsvakurudza mari yekuti tivandudze nyika yedu yeZimbabwe, zvakakosha kuti zvivakwa izvozvo zvipinzwe pachirungu inonzi blue book redu kuitira kuti tigarewo isu veministry taane homwe yekuvandudza zvivakwa izvozvo. Ndinotenda.
Attender supplementary. Honorable
Mashonganyika.
Mashonganyika.
Mazvita Mr. Speaker. Ndoda kutenda bazi rinoona nezvetransport nemhinduro dzavari kupa dzakanaka. Ini ndiri kuda kuti ndinyatsonzwa nekuti takambokurukura maringe nekugadzira mirato inonzi mirato iya yakachipa kudarika mari inopinda pabridge, kuti vana vanoenda kuzvikoro varege kurovha kuzvikoro vanofanira kufamba nemirato. Asi tiri kuonana nhasi mirato haisi kugadzirwa. Hurumende wepolisi iri kuti kudii maringe netumirato itwotwo?
And Honorable Minister.
Ndinotenda vanoremekedzwa mutungamiri wedare rino reparliament. Ndotenda zvakare vanoremekedzwa Honorable Mashunganyika. Ichokwadi vanoremekedzwa mutungamiri wedare rino kuti dzimwe dzenguva vana vedu vanotadza kuyambuka mazambuko nekuda kwemvura inenge yati wandei mumwaka watiri. Asi ndodzoka zvakare kudare rino kuti bandiko reMinistry of Transport harine bandiko rinonzi Department of Roads pachirungu rinoshanda richiona nezvemugwagwa, asi handiro bedzi bandiko rinoona nezvemugwagwa. Tikaenda kumaruwa tine mabandiko mairi anonyanya kuwanikwa ikoko, inonzi Rural District Council ine mainjiniya anoona nezvemugwagwa, tine inonzi RIDA ine mainjiniya anoona nezvemugwagwa. Saka mukaona mubvunzo wasumudzwa na honorable member, zvinoreva izvo kuti dzimwe dzenguva isu vamiririri venzvimbo idzodzo nemakanselas venzvimbo idzodzo zvinoda kuti tiise musoro pamwe chete tisati tatarisira kuhurumende kuti chivakwa mirato yavari kutaura iyi inoda here kunge ichibva kuhomwe yenyika, kana kuti tikaisa musoro pamwe chete vana vedu vanoona pekuyambuka. Saka dzimwe dzenguva tinotadza kunge tichiziva nzvimbo dzakadaro, tokumbirawo kwamuri kuti mutizivise musati mavaka kunyange pachezvenyu. Tinotumira mainjiniya edu kuitira kuti vana vedu havazowira pakati perwizi mavaka chivakwa chisina kusimba. Votiudza kuti zvinovakika here kuti vanhu vange vachiyambuka nenzira iyoyo. Saka ndotenda kuti nekuda kwedambudziko ngatiisei musoro pamwe chete. Kana tiine nzvimbo dzatinoziva kuti nguva yemvura vana vedu havayambuke, tinotuma mainjiniya edu. Ndakambomisikidza mudare rino kuti province yega yega ina anonzi provincial road engineer amunofanira kunge muchiziva. Musati masvika kudare kuno mukaona dambudziko munomutsvaga oona okuudzai kuti zvechokwadi zvatoda kuvaka pano hazvina njodzi kuvana vedu vanezenge vachiyambuka panzvimbo iyoyo. Ndinotenda.
Supplementary. Supplementary.
Yes, sorry. Honorable
MC Spanda.
Honorable Spanda, please proceed.
Ngiyabonga somlomo ngethuba onginika lona. Kuke kwabikwa lapha umphathi intambo wezomgwaqo ukuthi umgwaqo ohlanganisa iFolos la koBulawayo usuthole umuntu ozawulungisa. Kambe kungabe sokuhambe okunganani umphathi intambo? Ngiyabonga.
Umbuzo ukudli guma. Umele ulobe phansi wenzela ukuthi lithole impendulo iviki ezayo. Ngiyabonga. Honorable Chidua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. My question is directed to the Minister of Information, Communication Technology, Postal and Courier Services. What's government policy towards achieving consistent and reliable mobile network connectivity in the country as a part of promoting financial inclusion?
Minister of Information, the question is directed to you. I think you're slightly distracted. If you can listen. Can you repeat your question? I could see the Honorable Minister was having some little tete-a-tete with his colleague.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. What's government policy towards achieving 100% consistent and reliable mobile network connectivity in the country as a part of promoting financial inclusion?
The Honorable Minister of Information.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Let me thank Honorable Chidua for a very good question, which relates to the issue of financial inclusion as enabled by robust ICT, or rather connectivity, across the country. Mr. Speaker, sir, the government has got a deliberate program to deploy base stations in the peripheral areas of the country. And I'm aware that my colleagues here in the House may have seen such deployments of towers in border areas. Also, government through the Universal Service Fund ensures that there are base stations deployed across the country in underserved and unserved areas. The Universal Service Fund has so far ensured deployment of 14 base stations through a project that seeks to redeploy towers from co-located areas to areas that are not covered. Government embraced also an infrastructure sharing program which allows for all players, mostly mobile network operators, to share and converge in a single infrastructure for the purposes of consumers and satisfaction of service. Mr. Speaker, sir, just for record, let me share that His Excellency the President of Zimbabwe, Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa, last year in December, launched 276 base stations by a single mobile network operator through a program known as Mobile Broadband Phase 3, through which he ensured funding himself in 2022. Also, the 40 base stations that I made mention of earlier, they were done by the same mobile network operator and are 5G network deployment. The last, the 14 USF-funded ones. Let me conclude by mentioning the coming into the game of the new kid in the block, the low Earth orbit satellite network that ensured some relief in virtually underserved areas where we have seen other players having been licensed a few months ago to the relief of many. So all these, they converge to make meaning the efficiency that our people can enjoy in the space of financial inclusion, as financial inclusion itself is pivoted on an efficient and robust network deployment. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Chidua, your supplementary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, we have noted that there are some mobile network operators who sometimes say they cannot deploy base stations in areas they deem to be uneconomic. And I wanted to find out what's the position of the government to service those areas that are deemed uneconomic by mobile operators.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. It is basic business sense that one cannot deploy where there is no economic benefit. The purpose of which there is Universal Service Fund administered through the Postal and Telecommunications Regulatory Authority of Zimbabwe, the POTRAZ, which seeks to close in the gaps where the issue of making economic sense would have been observed by mobile network operators. Let me repeat to say, because some mobile network operators will deliberately not want to invest in areas that don't make economic sense to them, therefore the fund seeks to deploy bandwidth or network to those places that have been shunned for that reason. If need be, I can give you an example of one place in the country which suffered that black spot status for many years because it falls in between 2 districts and 2 provinces and a conservancy or a game area, and that is a place that falls in between Mashingo and Mat South, Chiredzi and Beitbridge, and it's called Chikwalakwala. Because of the Universal Service Fund, Chikwalakwala today enjoys network provided through the fund for purposes of identifying those areas that will be shunned by mobile network operators for not making economic sense. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Supplementary. Yes, supplementary. Honorable Joe. Followed by Honorable Engineer Magwa.
Mazvita Batwe Chigaro. Mr. Speaker, sir, mvunzo wangu wokututsira kuna Honorable Minister. Honorable Speaker, pane urongwa, pane policy yakaitwa ne-government yokuti ma-network providers ayanga achishare infrastructure. Tiri kuona kuti kune dzimwe nzvimbo dzichine network yerimwe, for example net 1, but Econet inenge isiko. Urongwa huipi hwamunahwo wokuti muite kuti kove Econet kauti ve net 1 vange vachishare infrastructure inenge iri kune dzimwe nzvimbo mazvita ini.
The Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and thank you, Honorable Joe, for a good question. The policy of infrastructure sharing was not taken wholly upon proposal. There are other operators who felt like they'd invested more than others, and ordinarily they thought that this policy was to benefit other players at their expense. However, I'm happy to report to this august House that with time, this policy was embraced by all operators. And the pace at which the infrastructure sharing project has been uptaken is very pleasing. I am aware that there are some places where other operators would have a tower and others would take time to go there and install their active equipment. At the moment, it's a question of choice. It is not good policy to force operators without understanding their economic status or meaning to say they should deploy wherever there are towers. We have 3 mobile network operators in the country, and they are not the same in terms of their share of the market. However, I want to assure you, Honorable, through you, Mr. Speaker, sir, that the program has been gaining a lot of traction, and we have seen the operators working cordially together and inviting each other and sharing expenses in terms of energy, in terms of every other security and other necessary issues regarding the existence of a tower. So I want to assure this august House that the policy was taken up very well, and the pace at which it's being implemented is so far very pleasing. It gives me hope that wherever there is no deployment yet by other MNOs to where others have their base stations, something will happen very soon. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honorable Engineer Magwa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Thank you to the Minister for the detailed response to one dimension of universal access and connectivity. The second dimension that I want to ask the Minister is, even those that are connected, there is still the challenge of cost. The cost is still exorbitant in terms of our data, in terms of our core rate. And the second thing is, elsewhere in the world, if you have had bulk purchase of data, you are allowed, after the 30 days of fair use, you are allowed a grace period of another 30 to 60 days, which is not the case currently. What is being done by government to allow that the operators are fair to the users? I so submit.
Yes. The Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Thank you, Honorable, for the question. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is unethical for operators to behave as such. Let me hasten to point out that the existence of the regulator is to plug out such vices in the operations of our operators. I have not received anything so far with regards such tendencies, but it's something that we have had in our multi-stakeholders engagements through other consumer watchdogs and other service providers. Let me take note of it and take it up with the regulator and have us open our eyes wider into such to ensure that it does not happen. It is robbery to unsuspecting consumers, and it is not to be allowed in this government and through such a delicate space as the space of data and bandwidth. You have not provided a specific instance in which such happened, but this suffices to say we will then engage the regulator to look closely at how these issues are being administered. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. We've had enough supplementaries. Honorable B. Piri.
Maita basa mubati wechigaro. Mvunzo wangu wakananga kubazi rinoona nezvedzidzo dzeprimary nesecondary education. Tiri kunzwa kubva kuvana vechikoro, vadzidzisi nemapepanhau kuti gore rino kune madzidziro masva ari muzvikoro maringe neiri kunzi heritage based curriculum. Mubvunzo wangu woti urongwa hupi hune hurumende hwokubatsira kunyanya vadzidzisi kuti vavandudzike mubasa ravo mukudzidzisa madzidzisiro matsva new heritage curriculum. Maitai.
The Honorable Minister of Primary and Secondary Education.
Ndinobonga mubati wechigaro. Nditendedzei ndibonge Honorable Piri ngemubvunzo wavabvunza. Mapipiri. Chekutanga ndinoda kuti tine inozwi heritage based curriculum. Ndo yatanayo zvinezvi. Inobata kubva ku ECDA atei form 6. Saka curriculum iri kutorera ashidzana ne color continuous learning. Saka zvatiri kuita teacher development capacity. Kubatsiridza teachers edu eshe kuti vange vachiziya kuenda kotrainwa, kuti vange vachiziya maringe heritage based curriculum yatinayo. Tine framework yatinayo yatakavatumira veshe maticha vanayo, hapana chikoro chisina. Vari kuenda by groups vachienda koitwa capacitate kuti vaziye. Tangosarirwa basi ne1 Mat South ichaitwa musi wa 17 February. Asi vamweni veshe, all the provinces, vakaitwa ma-teacher development ese akaitwa. Tinotenda.
Supplementary.
Supplementary.
Can we give the opportunity to the original questioner?
Maita yenyu, Mr. Speaker. Maita yenyu, Minister Mindura ya mapa. Mbunzo wangu uri kuti ma-trainings aya aisafanira kunge akatanga kuitwa here tisati introduce new curriculum iyi. Pane kuti introduce vamwe vatanga kudzidza kubva muna January muna February asi tiri kuti pane maticha mamwe asati aenda kunodzidziswa. Maita yenyu.
Chi chinozi kuintroducer. Ndakataura inini kuti remekedzai rurimi rwamai.
Kuintroducer zvinoreva kuparura.
Inga magona one. Honorable Minister.
Ndinobonga mubati wechigaro. Ichokwadi igwinyiso kuti maticha edu akuenda zvinezvi teacher redevelopment training yatiri kuita. Vakatotanga pakatanga kuintroduced heritage based curriculum last year. Vanga vachitoenda.
Rurimi rwamai ngatushandiswe zvakakwana.
Sorry mubato wechigaro. Iyi yatakutoita iyi kwakupetukirazve. Asi maticha ari kuramba achienda kuenda kofundiswa zvekuti heritage based curriculum inoshanda yakadini. Saka ndizvona zvandareketa zvekuti vari kuenda vachidini, vari kuenda vachienda kofundiswa zve. Asi kana muine bonini iri specific mwaizotironzera kuti tiende kozviningirisisa.
Supplementary.
Honorable Manduanzira.
Supplementary.
Honorable Manduanzira.
Maita yenyu sachigaro. Ndiri kuda kutenda gurukota nekutsanangura kwaraita nyaya yekuti wadzidziswe zvidzidzo zvekugona kudzidzisa. Mubvunzo wangu wakatarisana nezvidzidzo zvemitambo muzvikoro. Kazhinji kacho unoona kuti kana uri mutambo wenhabvu wana vanongodzidziswa naticha wechirume kana kuti mudzidzisi wechirume anenge asina kumbodzidza zvidzidzo zvekudzidzisa vana kutamba bhora. Tozotarisa mune vatambi vakaita mukurumbira vachitambira zvikwata zvepamusoro-soro wakurarama upenyu hwekutambura vanogona kutorwa kuti vachizonodzidzisa muzvikoro mitambo yakasiyana-siyana yavakambotamba wakaita mukurumbira nayo, kwete kuti kungotorwa mudzidzisi wega anozi iwe chifundisa madzimai. Saka mubvunzo wangu ndewe zviriko here muhurongwa hwawo hwehurumende takanangana nekudzidzisa vadzidzisi mazvita.
Point of order.
Honorable Manduanzira. Mubvunzo wokutanga wanga usina kunangana nezvemutambo. Mubvunzo wenyu watsweyama. Last supplementary.
Supplementary.
Yes, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. And I would like to thank the Minister for her response. I wanted to check in terms of the teaching and learning materials. We have noted that the schools have opened for over 3 weeks now, but there are no prescribed textbooks with regards to the heritage-based curriculum. My question, therefore, is what arrangements are there within the ministry to ensure that the schools have the requisite textbooks to execute the new curriculum? I thank you.
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Chair. The textbooks that we were using for the before curriculum, color, the information that is there doesn't go stale. It is the same. We are picking up from it. We have just enhanced the color to make it heritage-based curriculum. So you will find that the textbooks that we have already, they are not offline. But we are making efforts. They are there already, textbooks. They might not be in all schools as we speak, but they are there because it is a process. But if you have any particular school that you would like to request for textbooks, please would you kindly put it in writing and bring it to the ministry. Thank you.
Supplementary.
The last supplementary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Yeah, my supplementary question goes to our Honourable Minister. I want to ask if she can confirm in this House that the textbooks that are being used in the new heritage-based curricula are the same textbooks that have been used before. It's very important, Honourable Speaker, sir, because we've received various complaints on parents being asked to buy new textbooks. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much. I can confirm that the information doesn't go stale. So the textbooks that we were using before, and the textbooks, it is the same knowledge, it is the same education. It has been enhanced. So those textbooks, they still can be used, but with additional information. But I can confirm that we still can use them. Information doesn't go stale.
On a point of order, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Supplementary.
On a point of order, Mr. Speaker.
I said that was the last supplementary question.
On a point of order.
A point of clarity, you want to ask the question through the back door?
No, not as such.
No, if you are not clear, can you put your question in writing for next week?
I thought the Honourable Minister did not answer the question as asked it.
I have instructed, can you put your question in writing so that the Honourable Minister can give a more detailed response accordingly?
Order. The next honourable member to take the floor will be Honourable L. Liwayo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ma'am. Two of the major threats to economic stability has been smuggling and illicit financial flows. I want to applaud the Minister of Finance, Minister of Industry and Commerce, Zimbra, and other stakeholders for the stance that they have taken, especially against smuggling through heavy-handed anti-smuggling campaigns. However, some business owners are worried that in as much as the revenue administrator. All right, however, other business owners are worried that in as much as the revenue administrator is enhancing compliance, some shops, especially the SMEs, are closing. Is there a way, or what is the government doing to try and balance enhancing compliance and survival of small firms? This question is directed to either the Minister of Finance or Minister of Industry and Commerce if he is there. Thank you.
Order. I am going to call upon the Minister of Women Affairs, Small and Medium Enterprises to respond.
On a point of order, Madam Speaker.
Order, Honorable Minister, what is your point of order?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think the question was maintaining a balance between productivity and compliance. I'm sure the Honorable Minister should dwell on that area.
Order.
Because the Honorable Member was worried about the excessive compliance versus productivity.
Honorable Madzwanika.
Yes.
Can you allow the Honorable Minister to respond to
answer is really right.
question? Order. Honorable Minister, please can you proceed? Please can you proceed? Can we have order in the House?
These are the proceedings coming to you live from the National Assembly as we hear the ministers responding to issues being raised by the members of the National Assembly. And to give you a recap of what took center stage today on the first National Assembly session of the year 2025. Now the Minister of Women Affairs is responding in terms of what is being done to ensure that business will continuously develop and also ensuring that there is stability in the country. And apart from that, we've had issues around the distribution of the agricultural input mechanisms that will see our farming season becoming a success. And we've heard that the government is doing so much, and as far as ensuring that all the inputs are delivered well on time, are delivered with to the rightful owners, and that the beneficiaries who are intended to benefit will eventually benefit throughout the process. There will be due diligence, monitoring, and ensuring that there is no corruption happening during the way. We've also had issues around the primary and secondary education. What is being done to ensure that this new curriculum, the heritage-based education, is effective, and as far as ensuring that the teachers are well trained, well equipped for them to be able to then teach the students. We've heard that the Deputy Minister, that is Honorable Gata, explaining the strategy that the government has employed, that they have done province by province, and now only Matabele and South Province remaining, which of course will receive the training manuals on the 17th of February. Meaning to say, when we have the National Assembly session again, the province would have received these training courses. And issues around the transport system in Zimbabwe has been questioned in terms of how much the government is doing to ensure that all the remaining parts during the Maidens Road Rehabilitation Program have been catered for. And the Minister of Transport also explained the strategy that the government is doing through the Emergency Road Rehabilitation Program, ERP, that the government is determined and committed to ensure that all the roads that have been dilapidated in the past are well maintained, and they are doing it phase by phase to ensure that all the country is catered for. Yes, these are the issues that were discussed right here in Mount Upton in the new Parliament building, with the National Assembly, of course, coming in the first session of the year 2025. If you missed it, you can always revisit our ZBC News Online Facebook page. You can have these discussions in detail. From myself, Ian Wambe, the entire crew behind the scenes, we say stay tuned to ZBC TV.
Guys, welcome to Lip Sing. Aibo, lip sing. Hey, can you do the acapella chant? Let's hear. Yimbatinzi.
Takabatese mumadaka.
Hey.
Takatangira tichigwiza makata baby. Pandaye wanda mumashanga. Tichikutaimira kuti ndisaone kuti
ndodati ende kumba. Atingarare kumafaro. Obanasi anditakusiye tinende gafana band. You want to fight I never. Cause Uri my baby. So you say no like that never. Uri my baby.
Ayikukhona uchuma kwaziyo. Angimthembi mina uchuma.
Ngiyaxolisa Siza.